company called Gentrio, GENTREO.com. And what we do is what we call next generation estate planning, and it's making estate planning affordable for everyone. But one of the things we found is that people need to learn about what is estate planning and why is it relevant to them. So, for instance, people might know what a will is, but they also have heard of like living trust. So what we need are blogs and things to be able to teach people around what is estate planning, why is it relevant to me, and why should I do it, right? Because convincing people is one of the hardest things for us to do. They kind of know they should do it, but they don't know enough. So what we've done is use ChatGPT to literally create hundreds of blogs in the past month.
Hundreds?
Yes, hundreds. But there is one catch to it. So we put in the question that we have, because what we've done in the past is we have been using blog writers. And so we would have to create, what are all the blogs that we would like to get written? But each blog was costing us about $100 to be written.
Wow.
And so what we found, though, is that while we had all these fantastic lists of things that our users were asking about, or things that we just thought were relevant to, you can search on Google, what are people looking up, right? What are they interested in? What's going to bring people to our site? And we do a lot of B2B work. So what we need to do is be able to answer questions that HR professionals might be getting, so that when people come to their HR professional and they're caring for an aging parent or something like that, they send them to Gentrio. And so making sure that Gentrio has that library there for folks to be able to read, and then not just read, but learn, and then better yet, do.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we started putting these into ChatGPT, and it's about an 80-20 rule. So what we do is some of the times the ChatGPT is plain out wrong, right? Like sometimes it'll tell people when your loved one passes away, use their power of attorney, which is not legal, right?
Yeah.
You don't use the power of attorney when someone's dead because they're dead, right? But, that's when a will comes in, or a trust and things like that. So what we've learned is that it's also a little bit rote in how it writes things, and it's getting better, but you need someone to kind of add a human flair to it, right? Like one of the things that drives me a little crazy is every blog that it writes ends with "in conclusion." And so I said, I give ChatGPT on that score, like, you attended 7th grade essay writing class, in conclusion.
Yeah.
But people don't want to read things that are bland, and it uses the passive voice a little bit too much. So what our lawyers do, though, is one, they have to first go over it to make sure from the legal side that everything is correct.
Yeah.
And then they improve the grammar and make it a little more readable and engaging. But the fact that we can bang these out now, and then it really goes from paying $100 for someone to write something that probably was taking them an hour or 2 or 3 to write this, to research it, to now putting something in front of our attorneys. It's literally taking them anywhere from 5 minutes to maybe 20 minutes, depending how much flair they want to add. And then the second point I wanted to note too is that the blogs can now put in case studies. So you can tell ChatGPT to write your case study for you, and to make it more engaging, because then people can relate to something it's them, that's really more interesting. And so the ChatGPT tells some really good stories, and sometimes they're a little bland, and sometimes the endings, you really have to make sure you're reading this. This is where, I'm not saying that you can do this flat out without human engagement, because we're not there yet. And I think I'm grateful for that, right? Because you need to put those checks in place.
It sounds like it's been a great front end accelerant. It's, it's saved tons of money. It's banging them out quickly, saving time. And then you've got something now that your subject matter expert, you or your lawyer, can then review quickly and get it out on the internet.
Yeah, literally. You'll see about 100 new blogs go up in the next week or two, all thanks to ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, and anytime, time and money, right? And especially for young companies, time and money, that's what it's about. Right?
That's great.
And then also, just the one thing, when Google and the search bots and things know, this is where you can now pick up a whole bunch of new traffic as well. And then the last point I want to add in that's really relevant is put in things that are relevant to 2023, because then you increase in the search topics. So when you're working with ChatGPT, say, hey, what we do is like create the checklist. If I'm a caregiver from 2023, create the 2023 checklist of things that are relevant today. So then all of a sudden, Google's old school, but all of a sudden you're popping back up right? Because now you've got that 2023 moniker there that really will improve things. So it's this kind of this recipe of sheer wonderfulness.
Wonderful. And how much have you paid for ChatGPT?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's really it's an amazing tool.